We're going to hold some people accountable this week, Jordan. We are going to review the Bassmaster article where they predicted each rookie's best Elite Series finish in 2025. Obviously, the season is over now. We can review, look back at their picks, and see who was on point.
It's real easy to make claims, right? Of make predictions, say, hey, I think this person or that person is going to do good in this or that tournament. It's another thing to actually get checked and see if you were correct later on. I feel like most people are not checking these claims. So we decided just for fun, this was posted way back in February, Dave. We took notes of all of the predictions that were made on here, and we have tracked to see who was the most accurate. And so when I say who, that's going to be between Kyle Jesse, Ronnie Moore, and Christopher Decker. And we actually have this convenient presentation that we put together to keep track of this. So I'm going to run through some of these and let you comment on it. Any thoughts up front on kind of how these predictions you think unfolded? Because I have not shown you these results yet.
Man, it's got to be pretty tough to pick that. I mean, I think there's probably some no-brainer picks there. Guys that have history on bodies of water, even though they're rookies in regional events and so forth. So, but those don't always come true either. You know, the home lake curse is a real thing. But man, Bassmaster loves pundits. I think they have more pundits on their payroll than a lot of these news channels in the political season. So let's see how they did.
All right, I'll roll through some of this. So, and just for people to understand what these predictions are, these are predicting each rookie's best elite finish in 2025. So they listed out every rookie in 2025, and they listed out each event and who they thought would do the best in each one. So, for example, let me just jump right into Blake Caps. Kyle thought he would do the best at 10 Killer. Ronnie thought he would do the best at Sabine. And Christopher also thought he would do the best at 10 Killer. The actual results, Blake Caps got 57th at 10 Killer and 95th at Sabine. So if we had to pick who was the closest to getting this one right, it would have to be Kyle and Christopher, who both picked 10 Killer. However, what's interesting to note here, Dave, is that Blake's best result was actually 48th at the Pasquotank River. So none of them actually guessed what his best result would be. So that's kind of interesting. Let me roll through the rest of these pretty quick. So we have the results for Bo Browning. We have Cody Meyer, Dakota Eber, Emil Wagner, Evan Kung, Easton Fothergill, Andrew Loberg, Paul Marks, and Tucker Smith. A lot of names that I think if people hadn't heard of them at the beginning of the season, a lot of these names are all of a sudden starting to sound a lot more familiar, aren't they, Dave?
Absolutely. You know, a lot of those guys taking care of business in 2025 on the Bassmaster Elite Series. And it's no surprise these guys had a pedigree coming into it. If you look at some of these predictions, a lot of no-brainers on there. You know, an Emil Wagner, on Hartwell, a Paul Marks, a Tucker Smith, you know, people who have had history on those bodies of water. And in particular, I think one of the things that allowed some of these pundit picks to be more accurate than not, if you look at Tucker Smith, for example, you know, Ronnie hit this one on the nose, Fork. Now, while you may not have been able to predict that Tucker Smith was going to win Fork, you kind of knew that Fork was going to be a forward-facing sonar tournament. Hartwell was going to be a forward-facing sonar tournament. So you look at guys like Tucker Smith, Emil Wagner, Paul Marks, guys who have made their bones in their young career using the forward-facing sonar, kind of no-brainers there to pick them on tournaments that you know forward-facing sonar was going to be a huge player. But awesome to kind of check this stuff out. The guys did pretty well overall, considering.
Yeah, as you pointed out, you wouldn't have thought they would actually pick a winner of an event, but Ronnie picking Tucker Smith's best event being at Fork, not only was he right, but Tucker Smith actually won that event. Another example of that, believe it or not, Ronnie also picked Paul Marks for Hartwell, which again, he won that event. So it's pretty wild that he kind of unknowingly picked the winners of multiple events, which is pretty crazy. And so that being said, I'll get to the final results. Who did the best in these Bassmaster pundit picks for 2025 Elite Series rookies? That was Ronnie Moore, none other. Not only did he win 5 of these by picking better than Kyle and Christopher, he actually picked 3 event winners, which is absolutely insane. So I'd mentioned Tucker Smith at Fork, Paul Marks at Hartwell, and then, of course, Ronnie also picked Easton Fothergill for the Classic. So absolutely insane that Ronnie picked 3 event winners at the beginning of the season. That's going to be hard to ever replicate, Dave.
It's going to be super hard to replicate. Kudos to Ronnie on that one. I will really be interested to see if they redo this for 2026 with the schedule being split between, no forward facing sonar and forward facing sonar at different events. If you go back and kind of look at this, the events where forward facing sonar didn't play that much, the picks were not that accurate.
If you want more behind the scenes bass fishing info in your inbox every week, sign up for the Best on Tour newsletter at bestontour.net. It's completely free. It drops every Thursday morning. There's a link in the description as well as the links that we mentioned in this episode. They're all in there. Go check those out.